Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Nia. Welcome to my channel. If you do not know, I am a teacher, a pre-K teacher at that in South Jersey. And today, you guys, I'm bringing you a video of a teacher Q&A. All right, you guys, so I got the chance to use my Instagram story and post a question. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please go ahead and do so. I'll drop that on the screen for you. But I did post maybe like last week or so. I posted and asked you guys to ask me some teacher questions. And originally this video was actually going to go out a week ago. However, if you don't know, I typically post every Thursday. Last Thursday, you guys, I was done up. I was so sick. I actually ended up having a sinus infection. So I couldn't breathe. I couldn't taste. I couldn't smell. It was so bad. Everyone's like, do you have COVID? I'm like, no, I'm good. It was really just sinuses. So all that to say, I am well and I'm ready to finally answer some of these questions that I was asked. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go with our first question. It says, what are daily obstacles that you face? Daily obstacles. Some daily obstacles are little ones, like getting out of the bed in the morning. Other daily obstacles are dealing with the social issues in my classroom because they're 4 and 5 years old and they just don't know how to socialize, even though it's almost April. They're still learning and still developing. So some of it is dealing with the students and some of the conflict that arises with them. Sometimes daily obstacles are staying on top of my workload, really just making sure everything is as prepared as possible. I'm not missing anything, any of the random events that they put on our calendar I didn't forget about or things like that. So sometimes daily obstacles is keeping up with my workload as well as the other stuff that goes on within my school community. And I think that's it. I think that's on a daily, that's pretty much what I'm dealing with. Keeping up, dealing with student conflict, and actually getting up in the morning to get to work. Yeah. Next question. What do you do to prepare for the different personalities every day? Different student personalities? Yeah. I think the different student personalities or the different personalities of my students, how do I prepare for that? I don't. Actually, because every day is a curveball. You really don't know. With 4 and 5 year olds, you just don't know. Sometimes they'll come in sweet as pie, and sometimes they'll come in and you're like, oh, so you're having a day. Got it. So it really just depends on the day. But in order to mentally prepare as much as possible, I would say, without knowing what I'm going to get, honestly, it's treating each day like a new day, and being able to separate yesterday's problems or whatever might have happened yesterday and walk into the new day fresh and renewed without, you know what I mean? Adding oh, yesterday he had a bad day, probably gonna have a bad day again today. You know what I mean? Kind of just treating each day like a new day kind of helps me prepare for some of these different student personalities, man, because they're a hot mess. Next question. What do you do to prepare for your week as a teacher? One thing I do, and this is something I started in 2023, literally beginning of the year, I take one day out of the weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, and I make it a self-care day. And that has literally helped me prepare for my work week the following week so much more. And self-care literally can be going to get my nails done, or self-care can be sitting in the tub, doing a facial, making sure I'm going through all of my facial wash routine and making sure I'm getting all the extras out, putting on my nice smelling lotion instead of my daily lotion or whatever, really just taking the time and taking extra minutes to add back to me, you know what I mean? So that's one way I choose to prepare. I also meal prep. That is like one thing that really helps me organize my week. If I can just go in the refrigerator every morning and pull out what I need and then go about my business, literally, like, that's all I could ever ask for. Having to like task in the morning, like making this or prepping that or it's just way too much. So meal prepping is another thing that I do to prepare for my week. Next question. What accomplishment fills you with pride so far this year? I don't know if this question is this year meaning 2023 or this year meaning this school year. But I'll answer both of them. So far this school year, I would say the one accomplishment that fills me with pride, I honestly think that it's getting my classroom to a place where it is able to operate if I'm in my classroom or not. So I am blessed. I actually have 2 classroom aides in my classroom. So there's actually 3 adults in class, including myself. And so the fact that I have 2 other adults, I'm like, okay, so like this is what's on the agenda for today. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and they know how like the classroom operates. That's amazing. But not only that, my students have gotten to a point where they understand the rules, the expectations, and the schedule to the point where now they know what's coming next. They know how to read our daily schedule. They know what we need to do. And so the fact that I was able to get that flow going this year, I would say, in reference to school, that has filled me with so much pride. In reference to 2023, I would say, well, this is teacher related, but it's not about school. So I actually set a goal for myself to open an Etsy shop this year. And I did it. I opened a teacher-related Etsy shop. It's called The Teacher Nook by Nia. And I am actually going to just drop that link in the description just in case you guys want to like check it out and see what I've been designing, see what I've been up to. So that has filled me with so much pride because I've actually gotten a chance to see some of the designs in person. And it's just like, wow, I made that. Like, okay, I see you. Like that has filled me with so much pride. It has made me feel like you can do all things. Like, you know what I mean? Anything you set your mind to, you can do that. So as far as 2023, opening an Etsy shop and being able to see what I've designed actually in person has filled me with so much pride. The next question is, what is the best and worst thing about being a teacher? I'm laughing because I think that this is a spicy question. Like, okay. The best thing about being a teacher this year, because I think each school year you have to find a new best thing because it's not always the same, at least in my opinion. But this year, the best thing about being a teacher is the fact that I get the opportunity to see how my students have gone from like literal babies and knowing nothing to growing and knowing how to be self-sufficient. And I'm saying that this year because last year I didn't teach pre-K, and unfortunately I didn't get to see as much growth in my students last year as I do this year. So that this year has been the best thing, seeing how my students have grown into like little ladies and little men and like handling their business. So that's been great. The worst thing about being a teacher this year, I think it's dealing with the adults. Like the adults, some of the coworkers that I have to deal with and some of their attitudes or opinions, some of the things, I would even say like the admin, like in my building, because this year my administration team has been absolutely amazing. I've had 0 conflict, to be quite honest. They've been like supportive. So, and that is like rare to say that, to like be able to speak such positivity about your administrative staff. Is that correct? Is that a word? I don't know. My admin team. I have felt so supported this year. So I would say I would add that also to the best thing this year. So I'm not saying that is the worst, but honestly, again, some of the coworkers that I have to deal with are very interesting, as well as some of the parents that I've encountered this year. They've been interesting. They have definitely, and this is just me being fully transparent. I'm not trying to attack anyone, so I just want to give that disclaimer. I'm not naming anyone or pointing out or whatever. just in case anyone comes across this video. I have felt this year very much attacked and blamed for some of the behaviors of students or children that are not my own children. Like I have felt blamed for the way some students act, but that stuff starts at home and it doesn't start in my classroom. And so the fact that I'm being attacked for how someone else raised their child, but because it's coming out in this setting, it's just been so bonkers to me. And that is the part that has really been the worst thing this year. I've just felt like intimidation has been or attempted. I wouldn't even say I feel intimidated. I would really just say I felt annoyed by some of the responses and approaches that I've gotten from some of the parents I've had to interact with this year. But I mean, it's a learning curve for me as well, so I take it as that. And I think it's a learning curve for these parents also because some of these students, like, this is their first time interacting with school. And so unfortunately, I have to take that on the chin. But the worst thing has been dealing with some of the personalities of the parents and realizing that I need to separate the problem from the person. And that has been very hard for me to do this year. So that has been the worst thing. Moving on to the next question. How do you manage work, life, and love? I like this question. How do I manage work? My job has its own category in my head. I do not do anything past a certain time or before a certain time. So I've adapted a mentality kind of like college professors. Like college professors have office hours. You can come and see them during this amount of time and that's it. That's kind of how I have treated my classroom or my job, my work. Even though my contract is from 8:40 to 3:55, my office hours are extended from 8 to 4:30. Anything that may come in, whether it's an email or a phone call or whatever, I do. If it's after 4:30, I don't take it. I don't respond to it. And the next time they're going to respond is the following school day after 8 o'clock in the morning. So as far as managing work, I have just given it its own category and I don't go beyond that category. As far as how I manage my life, I try my very, very, very best to make the most out of life when I'm not at work. So if that is me just taking the time to be lazy, and I'm saying lazy because it's really just resting my body. If I'm taking the time to rest my body and binge watch a show because I need to mentally just be out of it for a sec, then I do that. If I feel like I'm feeling adventurous and I want to take a weekend trip, then I do that. If I feel like, you know what, I'm feeling confident today, I just want to go shopping, then I do that. I try to make the most out of my personal life as possible in order to help me be in a better mental state for, did I say work life or did I say personal life? I don't know. I mean to say personal life. I try to make my personal life as fun and exciting and as freeing as possible when I'm not at work. As far as how I manage my love life, it's kind of intertwined with my personal life. So I make the most of my love life when we have the opportunity. Unfortunately, me and my boyfriend don't have all day long to be around each other because we obviously have jobs and responsibilities that we have to do that don't involve each other. But when we do get the opportunity to be around each other and to be in each other's presence, then we are totally in that moment, our phones are away and we're just being really intentional about the time that we have. So that's kind of how I manage all of those things. Thank you for that question. I like that one. Next question. What are some traditions or superstitions you have for the first day of school? I don't. Short answer, I don't really have any traditions. But I will say, now that I'm teaching pre-K again, one thing that I did last year, at the beginning of the school year, so in September, the day before school, I sent out an email to the parents, and it was the First Day Jitters book. So I sent it to them, and I asked for them to have that be their bedtime story before the first day of school. So that is kind of what I think I'm going to do again this year. Last year, I just sent them one that I found on YouTube, but this year I actually want to post like an unlisted video on my YouTube channel of me reading it and send that out. So maybe I'll start that tradition, but I wouldn't say currently I have any. Next question. Do you enjoy teaching pre-K and why? I love pre-K. And short answer as to why, because I can do what I want. That sounds so crazy to say, but if you are an educator and you're watching this video, then you know the flexibility in what we want to do in our job is just pretty much becoming non-existent. And the fact that I teach pre-K, it allows me to kind of have a little bit more creative freedom in what my students do. Like I have an art center in my classroom. So if I want them to do like a really cool art project that deals with whatever we're studying at that moment, then they can do that. If I want them to, I don't know, make a card for their mom, then I have the time in my day without taking away from academic time to do that. So it kind of, teaching pre-K kind of gives me the flexibility in teaching that I want, and I absolutely love it. So yes, I do enjoy teaching pre-K. Next question, where do you get your ideas for activities for your students? Sometimes I get it from my coworkers, like if we're talking about what we're doing, like, if we're talking about like whatever we're doing in our classroom and like maybe we're in like a common planning moment, I might like take an idea from them. Sometimes I might like search on Pinterest if like I, have no idea where to go. I'll search on Pinterest, don't reinvent the wheel. And then other times, sometimes depending on what the activity might be that I want them to do, sometimes like the curriculum may like spark some ideas. Or give me like specific things. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that, I'll do that. But other than that, you guys, sometimes I'm just blessed and my brain just comes up with some stuff and I just run with it. So to answer that question in short, a variety of places. It just depends on the day. Next question, what curriculum do you use in your district? We use a curriculum that is called creative curriculum. I don't know why I'm saying curriculum like that. It sounds really weird to me, but just go with it. Ooh, hold on. Sorry, my lights are automatic, and if I'm sitting down for too long, they will totally snitch on me. Anyhow, so the curriculum that we use is called creative curriculum. I have my opinions about the curriculum, but that's not the question. You guys just asked, what curriculum do I use? There's that. Last and final question for today. Do you think that teaching, how it is now, do you think it is a sustainable career? Short answer, absolutely not. No, it's not sustainable. The way that the education field is going, it is going to self-destruct. And I'm not trying to speak that, but if we just look at all these reports about teacher shortages, if we just look at how they have lowered the standard of substitute teachers just so they have people to cover classes, that screams that there is a problem here. The way that things are happening is not sustainable. There's no way we can survive the way it's going at its current trajectory. So something has to change, whether it's actually listening to the teachers about what they need, if it's raising our pay so that way we actually get paid a living wage, if it's, I don't know, wiping out all student loans for teachers because we don't make money to pay it back anyway, then do that. We have to come up with strategies that make more sense for the people that we need to execute this job, right? You can't have education without teachers. We have to figure out a way that is going to support the teachers in a better way, because currently, no, it's not sustainable. It is not working. So that was kind of like a sour note to end this video on. But I'm just being truthful. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you have any questions or any comments or anything else you want to know, don't hesitate to go ahead and drop a comment down below or follow me on Instagram and DM me. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you want me to do a part 2 of this sometime in the future, go ahead and send me some of those questions so that way I have about 10 or more that I can answer on camera for you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next Thursday.